Welcome back to the Reier on YouTube channel, where it is time once again for No Sleep TEAL, a show dedicated to discussion involving the NFL's Jacksonville Jaguars. Travis Reier alongside my co-host Evan Reier. Evan, it's been a minute, but hey, we're heading into the second full week of training camp for the Jacksonville Jaguars. There is, I think, several reasons from optimism, some of the buzz coming from training camp to this point, and still some reasons for concern. We're going to kind of work around the football team in terms of things that have stood out to us here as the Jacksonville Jaguars get ready for those Pittsburgh Steelers on Saturday night at the bank. Man, what about that, Ev? Maybe you think we see Aaron Rodgers? Aaron
Uh,
Rodgers on Saturday
uh,
night?
Snowflake's chance in hell, right? I mean,
Doesn't
uh,
he need to work with his guys, though? I guess that's overrated. I mean, these teams have plenty of time in training camp, but yeah, I would think that Mike Tomlin's pretty comfortable with what he knows about Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf and maybe some of those guys.
yeah, I mean, don't get it twisted. You might even have a point. He might, need the reps out there, but
Just a
I'm
series,
just, I know Mike Tomlin's a pretty serious dude. The kind of guy that if he asks you to do something, 99% of guys in this league are going to say, "Yes, sir, I'll be out there." Aaron Rodgers is one of those few that probably would laugh in Mike Tomlin's face if he said, "Hey,
No,
Aaron, we need you to suit up."
two alpha
But
types there. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
But no, I mean, I'm stoked. It's so nice that we're finally getting into some actual football. Preseason, but still, actual football is happening.
Is
So
it is it more that you're anticipating the season, or are you just optimistic about the Jacksonville Jaguars at this point? Or are you still kind of in that more excited about the season being just up the street now, and maybe not quite as much ready to sort of invest totally emotionally in Liam Cohen's first team in Duval?
yeah, I think it's a lot more just about I've missed football.
Yeah.
I don't I'm not. It's not a case of oh we're building something here. It's gonna this
13
is
and
this is
4. Yeah.
yeah. But there is something to be said of, at the end of the day, the offseason has been positive and,
Hmm.
for the majority of the time, very few little, issues, maybe an injury here or there over the past week or two, which, we might talk about a little bit. But
Hmm.
really, there is reason for optimism. There's no reason to be a worrywart, right now.
Yeah.
However, we've been hurt before, so it's less about like oh well like I said there. It's not about we're building something. It's more just all right. Let's actually see what we've got. Let's actually see what the quantity is, what the quality is.
Yeah, it's you can say this for the Jags in drafting Travis Hunter. They've been a top 5 team in terms of buzz
Yeah, for
since
sure.
the draft in late April. So, how that has translated onto the field has been interesting to follow. By all accounts, he has been what they had hoped he would be. Most importantly, to this point, knock on wood, he has remained healthy and sort of alternating between offense and defense. And kind of with him, I think it's interesting to think about other guys at corner, other guys at wide receiver, because how some of those other guys step forward or maybe don't step forward could very well impact how much we see him at wide receiver, which is his primary position, and or corner here as we move through the early stages of the season. And it sounds like really, you knew Brian Thomas Jr. was the number one and Travis Hunter
Yeah,
would be the two. But De'Ami Brown, talk about a free agency acquisition that has the makings of being a big time home run for James Gladstone, sort of the anti Gabe Davis from a year ago. Sounds like De'Ami Brown has been very impressive, which helps in terms of what
yeah,
you could put out there with your 3 wide receivers with Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. And also how that's probably impacted Trevor Lawrence, although this run game element that we've anticipated with Liam Coen coming in, it's been a big part of things too. I don't think there's any doubt about that. We'll look to be rejoined by Evan here in just a minute. But yeah, as promised, there's been a emphasis on physicality, the run game. We haven't heard so much or seen so much with Trevor, this sort of level of exciting or dynamic play. But I've said since last season, that's not what you need Trevor Lawrence to be. You just
Yeah.
need Trevor Lawrence to be a guy that is supported in large part by the run game. Sounds like Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne, the young backs are, developing in a way that you would like within this offense. The offensive line too, as you look at that with Trevor Lawrence, and Patrick McCarry hadn't really been out there. So Chuma Edoga has played a lot inside at guard and with quite a bit of success. Ezra Cleveland back at the one guard, Robert Hainsey in there at center. So when you get McCarry back, Evan, you might have some nice competition for a couple of those spots there on the inside. And understanding you paid Hainsey what you did, you paid McCarry what you did in free agency for those guys to be starters. But Edoga, you spend a little bit of money there, and Cleveland back, that could end up being a position of strength.
Yeah, I mean the best part about McCarty not being out there is they're going to have a really good idea of exactly where Udoga's at right now in terms of understanding this a new team, new offense, all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's there were reasons to like Ezra Cleveland and to think that maybe he also can take a step further, but at the end of the day, it's not player last year. So if Edoga is kind of on a sharp curve, sharp upward momentum kind of thing, it could very much become his job by the time we get to September.
Yeah, Robert checking in here in the show chat. We appreciate that, Robert, as we're live here on Reier on YouTube. Robert says, hopefully Walker Little is a game day lights are on left tackle. And I think maybe we're looking at those areas as being the bigger concern in terms of the big picture. Is Walker Little really that guy at left tackle? Sounds like Anton Harrison, after a sort of enthusiastic sort of sophomore campaign a year ago. Sounds like message received for the former OU standout. He's been better. Sounds like he's on his way to maintaining his spot on that right side at the tackle position. But hey, that goes back to Edoga's value too. Edoga's played left tackle in the National Football League. He's played across that offensive front. So in terms of guard and or tackle, you got a guy that can push pretty much everybody from tackle to tackle with the exception of center.
Which, I mean, really, I think it's been not just one, but maybe get a roster spot. So it's but hey, if for some reason Edoga's got to flip out there and make that.
Yeah, definitely a lot of value so far anyway, especially when you're talking about limited spots on a condensed roster like we have in the National Football League. Boy, when you have a guy like Edoga that can do that for you, and McCarry who can jump between center and guard if needed, you feel good about really your first seven right now, including Cleveland in that mix as well. So related again to Travis Hunter and this early surge that we've seen for him, Evan, that wide receiver spot with De'Ami Brown being as advertised to this point, and Parker Washington too. Continue to hear really good things about him. And so when you get 3 or 4 guys deep right now, you're feeling really good. 5, 6, that's where the interesting sort of scenarios could play out. Josh Cephas a year ago, Joshua Cephas, a guy that a lot of people like as a free agent type. Didn't really have that impact a year ago, but look, Christian Kirk has moved on. Gabe Davis has moved on. Tim Jones has moved on. So maybe a little bit more room for a guy like that to make the roster in 2025.
Yeah, for sure. And really it's that's another area that really for the Jags, even last year, we didn't feel as confident as we do right now, in terms of the
Yeah, and I mean, special teams are obviously a part of all that too, with Parker Washington and his ability in that area. That's certainly got a lot of value for him, in addition to what he seems to be doing in terms of improving each and every practice as a legit third, fourth receiver type. But yeah, it makes you feel better about, if you need to maybe do some other things with Travis Hunter, you can do that. Now, Travis Hunter at corner, that's where it gets interesting too. Jarian Jones, kind of like Parker Washington, seems to be making those strides as a young player at his primary position. So Jarian Jones showing more and more that he can play on the outside. Jordan Lewis coming in from Dallas is sort of that nickel, that slot corner. That seems to be going as planned. You're filling out some of those roles between corner and nickel, that kind of ease your thinking in terms of, whether or not you commit a lot to Travis Hunter on the defensive side of the ball, or do you feel you need to? I mean, I feel like going into camp, it would have been fair to think, hey, Travis Hunter is a 1/2 wide receiver, and he's a 1/2 corner. But Tyson Campbell, again, another one of those guys you got to knock on wood a little bit when it comes to his health, because that's been an issue. He seems to be having a really good camp too.
Yeah, it's like energy is, night and day from what we've seen, the past couple of years. When a guy's getting injured and he's not playing especially well when he's on the field, enough for that guy to be up to be, that guy. But that is kind of what talking close like finale and how he's massive.
We're going to work on that connection with Evan. Hope to get him back here real soon on the show. But Robert makes another interesting point here too, and the cornerback room has been the biggest improvement. Campbell has looked better than I've seen yet, and that's this different system too that you're back into here. Maybe that benefits some of these guys a little bit more than some of the previous systems that they've worked in here in Jacksonville. Again, with Tyson, it's more about health than anything else after the last couple of years. And you bring in a guy like Levi Wallace, a veteran here in the last few days. Kind of interesting. Unfortunately, Buster Brown has been out and is going to be out for an extended period. So that may have something to do with that decision. Levi, a former Alabama standout, has bounced around the league a little bit, veteran presence there. A guy that, if nothing else, Trey Prince, and some of these developmental type players that you have that you feel good about, can learn from a guy like that. Watch a guy like that. Jordan Lewis has had that type of impact, it seems like, Evan, in terms of intangibles and leadership. Eric Murray bringing some of that to the back end as well. So I think Robert, like some of us, are hopeful that what we see in camp translates. And again, sort of leaves open the possibility, if it does go with Jarian Jones outside, Tyson Campbell outside, Jordan Lewis inside, that you can be pretty picky, pretty selective in terms of your work rate, your usage, where Travis Hunter is concerned.
Absolutely. I mean, really, at the end of the day, they've talked about it at length over the course of the offseason. You want Travis Hunter to get reps everywhere. You obviously believe in his ability on both sides of the ball, but I personally think that the less you need him on defense, the better. That's a great thing if it works out like that. And who knows if Levi Wallace comes in and it's kind of just a natural fit, there might be a guy like Christian Braswell who better be looking out,
Yeah.
or it'll be an interesting stitch, but I think it makes perfect sense adding, between Austin Johnson and Levi Wallace, just, because this is still overall, there are veterans on this team, but there's also plenty of young dudes that have a lot to learn. So those kinds of guys with that level of experience, whether it's for, Mason Smith, Jordan Jefferson, or if it's for, a Caleb Ransall or Travis Hunter, it's always nice to have, somebody that can add a little bit extra knowledge, a little bit, perspective, when you've
Yeah.
got 6, 7, 8 years in the league.
Yeah, with Mason Smith on the pup going into camp, and Eric Armstead not being a big part of this camp, I think that's where you maybe have your biggest concerns. Maybe the interior of both the defensive and offensive lines, although we were pretty optimistic about, what they're able to do in terms of moving personnel around there between the guard and center spots. Are you concerned about that? Because Armstead hasn't been a presence because of apparently a back issue. And same thing for Mason Smith, although, so now you're looking at Davon Hamilton, kind of Tyler Lacey, those kind of guys. And Davon he's got a track record of success, and there's been
Yeah.
some positive buzz where he's concerned in this preseason. But I would say maybe as much as anything, pass rush is where I would have the biggest concern with the situation being what it is right now. Give me Trayvon, give me Josh Hines Allen on the outside. But I'm sure Anthony Campanile is thinking we need Armstead on the inside to kind of help us out from that standpoint.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate with Armstead because when they signed him, when Balky did his bulky machinations, the injury issues had been a prevalent thing throughout his career, and I really feel like at this point, while of course I want Armstead on the field and I want to see him live up to his price tag, I just can't expect much right now. Like I bet he can teach well. I bet there's definitely plenty of other positives other than just his play on the field, but really I'm just not holding my breath at this point, which is why still, like we've talked about it, before, the interior of the defensive line might be the biggest question mark on the defense right now.
And for me, especially from a pass rush perspective, where's that
Yeah.
going to come from?
Yeah.
Um,
Interior wise, like interior push, collapsing the pocket. I don't know who's
yeah.
really going to be doing that. Um, but just hoping, at this point that, you got enough time for Mason Smith to, recover, get to 100%, and that also he's feeling good, I guess, about his comfort level and his knowledge of the new
Mhm.
scheme. But yeah, it's just a bummer that, you're not getting to see him out there right now, as well as Eric Armstead.
Linebacker positions. Devin Lloyd sounds like he's still right there in the mix to go along with Foye Oluokun. Then you get into Chad Muma, Ventrell Miller, but then your guy, Jack Kaiser, is in that mix as well, the draft pick out of Notre Dame.
And you know
He's
what?
balling. Sounds like
Balling
Jack's
right now.
balling. Yeah.
My man returned a pick six
Yeah.
this past weekend.
Because that's
So
what Jack Kaiser does.
if you're wondering, Notre Dame linebacker, he ain't got speed. All
No.
right, well he's taking it to the house.
I'm
So
going to
come on.
nickname him Blade, like a
Yeah.
Kaiser blade from the
Yeah.
movie Sling Blade.
No, that is cool though. I mean it's awesome. Again, really I like Jack Kaiser. I don't know why I like had like an affinity for him like the moment the Jags drafted him, but the fact that it's already looking promising is great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rare that, generally if a rookie or a draft pick like that is not doing well, it's just you don't hear a lot about what's going on. You're just not doing well. But if you're standing out, kind of like what Kaiser's doing right now, I mean,
Mhm.
if I'm Chad Muma, I'm thinking like, all right, I gotta find something over this next week or two, and especially against the Steelers, because I mean they're in audition territory. I
Of
mean that
those guys, who's most vulnerable in terms of a roster spot? I think Kaiser's making the team. I don't think there's really any doubt about
I
that.
think I think
He is preferred, obviously, by this staff. I mean, they
yeah.
spent the pick on him. And between potential at linebacker and what he should bring to special teams, I think Kaiser's a slam dunk. So Ventrell Miller, Muma, of those three, is Muma most vulnerable, you think?
I mean, yeah, I would say so. I could see that. I could see Muma and Kaiser being the 4 and 5, so to speak, on in that linebacker group if they can pull that off. If they somehow have 5 spots for linebackers. But I think Muma, if there's an odd man out there, it's Muma for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just
Robert here agrees with you. Says Muma won't make the team. Lloyd looks fast again, and Jack is a
thumper.
thumper. Well, he can play in coverage a little bit apparently too,
Yeah,
Robert.
dude, this guy can
Yeah.
do it all. Let him.
Ventrell can thump. Foyer can thump.
Yeah,
Jack can
I
thump.
will say in terms
So you
of
really need Lloyd off the ball to be what you hoped he would be when the previous regime spent the capital they spent on Devin Lloyd a few years back.
yeah, I mean, for Lloyd to be like the coverage linebacker,
Yeah.
that's really the key to all of this. Because don't get me wrong, like Alokun's fine, but not the fastest guy in the world. Ventrell Miller's explosive. He definitely has a knack for making an explosive play, but not necessarily as a guy trying to cut a route off. So if Devin
Well,
Lloyd's
I think Lloyd maybe played slower last year because maybe Lloyd was out of position
yeah
last
yeah
year, and Foyer isn't an off the ball linebacker.
no
Maybe that had
it
something to do with
it,
it
it
last year too.
there's still the jury is still out in a lot of ways on this coaching staff, but there definitely does seem to be a bit more common sense.
Defensively, there's no doubt
Yeah,
that
yeah,
it's a step up.
yeah.
I
They're
don't
just
think.
but again,
Which
it's like
makes it interesting because you hired an offensive coach, and I still think that's where you're going to have some of your biggest question marks.
yeah, there is still so much to figure out in terms of not just what it's going to look like, but
Mhm.
I guess I have PTSD. I'm wondering what rotation looks like. Hopefully very little
Yeah.
rotation overall, and just in the necessary spots. But I mean, it honestly, I could just see a situation where, again, I said the phrase common sense. If it's just, a lot of times players, if they at least like see the logic of what
Mhm.
you're trying to do, probably gonna, step up, find the role, do better.
Mhm.
Whereas last year, it just didn't seem like anybody had any real idea of why the defensive rotation worked out the way it did.
Yeah, and I know the Micah Parsons situation in Dallas has caught your interest because as soon as it really started to escalate over there with Parsons and his contract situation with the Cowboys, you were hitting me up about possibilities of
Well,
adding Micah Parsons. First and foremost, I think he's a Cowboy. I mean, we've
yeah,
seen
he
this with the
is.
Cowboys in the past. Jerry Jones loves this. Like, if anybody thinks Jerry Jones doesn't love all of this talk and buzz about the Cowboys right now, they haven't been paying attention. I
Yeah,
mean, we
they don't
did
know
it
how
with
he does it.
CeeDee Lamb, done it with a handful of players. Dak
Dak.
Prescott, he loves it. He loves the
They did it with Zach
Cowboys.
Martin. They did it with
Yeah.
basically every single notable
Jera
player.
loves this right now. So Micah Parsons isn't going anywhere.
Yeah,
He's going to be a Cowboy. But what if he did? Would the Jaguars be a legitimate option? And what would it have taken to lure Micah Parsons? I would think you'd have to maybe go player for player. The thing about Micah Parsons is that if the Cowboys really wanted to do that, which they don't, and he's a player and multiple first round picks kind of
kind of guy.
talent because he's
Yeah, for
just
sure.
26 years old. I mean, when you think about pass rushers top to bottom in the National Football League right now, where's he? Top three? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if he's Watt. I
No,
don't know. I don't
he's
know if
not
he's
above
Miles
TJ Watt, but
Garrett
he's probably two.
impactful. Is he Miles Garrett impactful? Different position, different guys, skill sets. But I mean, that is what we're talking about. That's the neighborhood that we're talking about with
Well,
Micah
it's
Parsons.
not just that, but Parsons has the shelf, like he's got an extra 5 to 6 years
Yeah.
on those other
He's
guys. So
26. Josh
uh
Hines Allen, for example, is 28, which
yeah.
isn't mossy, but he's got a couple of years on, couple more years on Josh Hines Allen.
No, when
So even
in
if you
the
work something like Hines Allen for Micah Parsons, you'd probably still have to sweeten it.
Oh, absolutely. You would still have to throw out like probably 2 or 3 high value picks. Probably a first is involved in that. Maybe the Jags obviously don't really have a lot of draft capital now after the Travis Hunter move, but it's it's a very fun thing to think about. It's a very fun thing to think about Parsons being on the Jaguars. I don't see a world in which, even let's say things go absolutely nuclear, and although the Cowboys are obviously planning on paying Parsons, it can't happen.
No.
I don't see a situation where you can't even go Trayvon for Parsons. It has to be JHA for Parsons, and that's it.
Robert, you know what Robert likes? I like this too, Robert. Not that it'll happen, but he likes Trayvon at 300 inside against guards with Parsons.
That's a beautiful
outside. He wants to keep JHA.
He wants to
and
have
add
his cake and eat it.
But
too.
you know
And I
what?
love that.
Gladstone don't care about picks.
Yeah.
So
go win, go Super Bowl,
picks,
Super Bowl right now, Super Bowl. But no, that would be incredible. I mean, that's an amazing idea, Robert. I would love to see that. That being said, I just even
I'd like to see Trayvon inside right now some.
Yeah.
But the problem right now is, who's your third edge guy that you would come with to go with JHA on the edge?
Well,
if you kick Trayvon inside, I mean, they don't really have a guy.
That's what's kind of funny is that with this like D line group, I mean, if you think about it, Trayvon has the capability to do that, to move inside if he needed to. But Eric Armstead, he's a tweener kind of guy, always been a tweener guy in the NFL. DeJuan Smoot, also a tweener guy in the NFL. Tyler Lacey, also a tweener guy. So you've got a bunch of dudes that have played both on the edge and on the interior. But the problem is that none of those dudes are the type of tweeners that, are proven to get the job done at both spots. I mean, Trayvon's obviously been very good on the edge, but as an interior guy, still kind of an unknown quality, at least in a new, kind of defensive scheme. So
yeah, I'd love Trayvon inside, but you don't have another edge.
Yeah,
to go with JHA. That's where it would have been great if Devin Lloyd had some more Micah in him, and then in some passing situations, if you could have walked him up.
Yeah.
And played him out there and brought him as a pass rusher, and come with another inside linebacker in some nickel and dime stuff. But right now, that's not. It's fun though. It's a fun exercise.
It's fun to fantasize about, but
we
really
like to exercise.
The biggest issue is just you would have to, like you said, it would be JHA, probably a first round and a second, and Parsons is amazing, but you would also still have to pay him, right?
Yes. So, and he's going to get what?
He's going 50. To probably become the highest defensive. He's probably going to get the biggest contract in, for any defensive end since, I don't know. Yeah, probably Watts deal, I guess. But So we're about not awesome when you think about the realistic aspect of it. But
you just come with Dennis Gardeck.
Yeah, exactly.
Dennis Gardeck, the former Cardinal, 6 foot 230. Just bring him off that other edge. Hey, so kicking it back to the offensive side and some of the scenarios for this offense and some of the things we anticipate in Liam Coen's offense, with the emphasis on physicality more and running the football and booing Trevor in that sort of former fashion. Bigsby at this point and ETN, or do you think, or you are envisioning maybe more of just Bigsby and then very situational with ETN when it really gets down to brass tacks?
So I think, based on what we've seen, Bigsby's definitely kind of got the leading spot right now. He's kind of the front runner as like a starter. But even if he continues to break away and it becomes very evidently clear that he's the guy that you do want having the majority of the carries, I just don't see a situation in which ETN's still not doing 40% or 35% of the snaps. Like
60, 40, something like that.
Yeah, just because at the end of the day, like, Bigsby's been good, but just based on the track record of the past couple of years, the explosiveness is also matched with some, obviously we've talked about ball
Ball
carrying issues, but
security.
just general consistency issues. So I just don't see a world in which the gap between the two can explode in such a way that ETN's like barely, it's like such a clear cut. You're a backup. You're going to get 4 snaps or 4 handoffs a game, whatever. I think they're going to give ETN every chance to stay as like a 1B rather than a number 2. But at the same time, Bashal Tutton's getting back into the camp, getting
With
healthy
Quentin
again. So
Allen.
it's they now, I would say probably
You
ever
know,
this
you know, I like who they brought in as an undrafted free agent is Jaquindon Jackson.
Yeah.
That dude last year at Arkansas, when he was well, he was hell.
Yeah.
And apparently he's had a few moments in this camp too. Now, Jackson ran 4.75 at the combine. So that's why he's where he is. But stylistically, what we've talked about in terms of fits in this offense, Bigsby stood out immediately when Coen got the job. And, it's going to be tough on Jackson to make this team because they drafted 2 backs ahead of him. But I like that pickup too, even as kind of their 5th back right now.
Yeah, no, 100%. They've got like a really good setup at running back right now because while obviously, neither Bigsby or, excuse me,
ETN.
ETN are, necessarily, elite backs in the NFL. There are understudies underneath both of them that make a lot of sense. Like you said with Jackson, and also, Tootin is also kind of a natural backup, I would say, to ETN. So, I do like that aspect. I do like that at the end of the day, should, worst come to worst, which, injuries at running back and issues at running back has been something the Jaguars have been, painfully familiar with over the past couple of years. You've got guys that are natural understudies and should be able to slot into that role maybe a little bit smoother than in other situations.
Jaquindon Jackson is my Joshua Cephas. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll die on that hill for Jaquindon Jackson. Robert here in the chat says, yes, the DBs in camp didn't want any of that 240-pound Jackson smoke. He is, man. He's like 6'3", 230, 6'2", 235. I mean, which has something to do with why he runs 4.75. And I don't, where you run into a little bit of trouble too is even a guy like that, where does he fit? Maybe on specials, because that's something you got to do as a third back, or how you're trying to make the team. But could be a practice squad guy, because you're going to have injuries at running back. We've seen it.
Oh yeah,
and if you got a couple of guys in your top 3 that have ball security issues on top of everything else, that's some reason for concern too. Where are you at on Trevor? You feeling good about him at this point? I said it earlier. It seems like it's been, and we've seen this with Trevor, saw it with him last year. I thought his start to camp last year was shockingly bad. Yeah. And understanding it was just early camp, but for a 4th-year guy, it was an eye-opener because I watched him a good bit in camp last year. Sounds like it's been more steady this time around. That may have something to do with the approach with this offense, probably not nearly as much being put on him, although we've heard about he's getting 2 plays, he's got to make reads and get the team out of a bad play and into a good play, and those type of things. So from that perspective, there is more on his plate. You still wait and see on 16?
Yeah, I just it has to be that way. I want to be optimistic. I want to, just fully give in. But I just don't see how you do that until, live rounds are being fired. He definitely had a good weekend this past weekend. Friday and Sunday especially. Everything that, I either saw or heard was, Trevor's looking really comfortable.
It sounds like Trevor, maybe more often than not, has been better than Brian Thomas Jr. in this camp.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been interesting. I will say is that BTJ's actually had a pretty quiet camp, like all in all.
Mhm.
You know, some good moments here and there, but it feels like maybe it's just maybe it's also just the eyes are on Trevor and Travis. You know,
Mhm.
the dynamic building there and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, really, I would say that if you had to rate Trevor's camp so far, I would say it's like a B plus,
Mhm.
which is good. That's
All
fine.
you need.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be doesn't need to if he set the world on fire in camp right
Mhm.
now, like if he was just like perfect,
Yeah.
I would feel the same exact way. I still wouldn't like just fully
Mhm.
buy in to optimism there.
Yeah, Ryan Tannehill him up. I've been saying it for nearly a year now, and it sounds like, at least in part, that's what we're seeing with this Jaguars offense. And
Yeah.
don't ask him to be the entire centerpiece on a down in and down out basis. Anything else, Eb, before we get out of here live on a Monday afternoon in Duval, which thunder in the distance down here today.
Hey, it's
Nothing severe as of yet, Ev.
well, it's an afternoon in Jacksonville, Florida in the summer, right? So it's gonna rain. Um
Yeah.
Not a whole lot. It's just, it's just exciting, finally, football season's really, upon
Hmm.
us now.
Hmm.
We've been waiting for months and months. And as I've joked about previously, the Braves have given me no reason to,
Ah, well, they
to,
are the Bristol Motor Speedway world champions, though.
yes, correct. Trophy holders.
Yeah, I took a
So
picture and everything.
that's awesome.
What?
Yeah, that's cool.
That
Also,
felt like one of those travel ball tournaments for 10-year-olds where they all get a ring,
yeah,
for
exactly. No,
yeah.
that's well. What's funny is that in soccer they do that a lot too, where there's these all little mini tournaments that they'll play in Dubai or in the States or whatever, and they hoist a trophy that is made of plastic and has no meaning.
Yeah.
But oh, the only other thing I will say is cool little cool little thing the other day with Tom Coughlin. It was they gave him a trophy for his
Yeah,
his
I like
pride.
that.
uh, if you go look at the trophy, though, I wonder if we could have maybe done a little more work. If we could have, because it's not a great look. And he even, if you watch the video,
Yeah,
he makes a face at one point where he's just like,
yeah.
what? Like it's
Where'd you get this House of Trophies off Beach Boulevard or something,
yeah. So
This is what you
I
give the
guess trophies.
Sanssouci athletic champs, in
Well,
the
and
10 and
that's
under.
why generally trophies that are handed out in August aren't
Yeah.
don't matter.
You
So, but
notice, though, TC, even for that, TC, one of his big things back in the day was no sunglasses.
yeah,
Like, coaches, staff,
no,
everybody at training camp, you did not wear sunglasses. He
clear eyes,
still
full
doesn't wear
hearts.
sunglasses. Maybe Baselli forgot that because I think Tony had sunglasses on. No sunglasses.
Son of a no.
Yeah. He probably made Baselli run
The
a little bit.
culture of this
Yeah.
organization
Fine. He
is
probably fined Baselli.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, made yeah,
Emeritus.
but now
Emeritus.
other than that, I think I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. How about Tex Tider checking in here?
Hey, what's up, dude?
Tex, we're going to have some Bama talk on the channel tonight. We'll have Talk Inside with Chase Goodbread coming up at 9 Eastern. So, Tex, we expect you to report back this evening. But, man, it's
Cool.
been a lot of fun catching up. We'll do it again here real soon.
Yeah.
We've got the Steelers Saturday night. Drunkest Jaguar game I maybe have attended in the last 10 years was I think it was the Steelers preseason a couple of years ago here in Duval. That may have been the drunkest Jaguar game I've ever attended. It was
Hey,
preseason, and Duval was
no
in the bag.
stakes. Generally, the beers are a little bit
Yeah,
cheaper in preseason.
yeah.
It's
Uber,
easy,
folks. Uber.
less security. That flask can get through a lot easier.
Ride
On a
share on
preseason game.
Saturday. It's going to be toint
Oh yeah.
uh,
I'm
for a
trying to decide if
preseason
I'm
game.
going down to New Orleans the following weekend. I'm thinking about
Oh,
it.
wow. Yes,
Just like,
yes.
why not?
Isn't that like a Sunday afternoon game though? That
Yeah,
might
it's at
work
noon.
though.
It's at noon. I
Yeah.
don't have to work, so I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
go
you're
do
off
that.
Sundays.
Hit
Fly
the
down there. Yeah.
hit the Caesar's Palace afterwards,
I think
maybe.
that's yeah, it's an afternoon kick from the Superdome. I think
Afternoon kick
Sunday
into
afternoon.
and after they beat the Saints, I will go.
Yeah, they
Place the
don't take
mortgage.
Sundays off in the quarter. You gonna go to Harrah's?
Yeah, hit the it's the Caesars now.
Caesars.
And
Okay.
then yeah,
I'm
after
always be
they beat
Harrah's
the
to me.
Saints, and I'm fully convinced that the Jaguars
Mhm.
are going all the way, I will go place the
Yeah.
mortgage on the 2,000 to 1 or whatever the odds are right now, Super Bowl odds for the Jags. So
Maybe go
yeah,
to
it's gonna be great.
Giacomo's. I think Giacomo's might be closed on Sunday though.
I might have to stay the night then, and then which would be
Go.
such a shame. Would be such
Yeah.
a shame to
I
stay the
have
night
to.
somewhere
I have
else.
to get that alligator
So I
cheesecake.
can go to lunch the next day at
Giacomo's.
Giacomo's,
Yeah.
get some
Gotta always
alligator
hit
sausage
Giacomo's.
cheesecake.
Whoa,
Yeah,
wow, that stuff's so good.
I know.
I know. Well, we like that for you, Ev. But regardless, we'll be back with you here real soon on the channel for No Sleep Teal. Ev, talk to you soon.
Sounds good. See y'all later.
For Evan Reier, I'm Travis Reier. Thanks for joining us right here on Reier on YouTube. And until next time, so long, everybody.